They have demanded that they be left alone, and yet they still keep putting themselves out there.
Well, firstly, the idea of the silent Sussexes, it's an interesting concept, but I certainly don't entertain much hope that we are going to get it, because there are several issues involved here. Now, the first one, regarding Spare, which I have to say I wondered who'd advised Harry, issues such as how he lost his virginity, the drugs issue, which is going to be raised in court in the United States as to how he entered and so forth, and then, of course, a penile frostbite, that sort of thing. I mean, I wondered, saying how many people and how many Afghans he'd taken out, that was extremely ill-advised, so you wondered who was advising him. But on this particular issue, what we're seeing is very much someone who's, I think, a campaigner. Now, he believes that with regard to the press, as you were saying, I mean, it is something that he feels very deeply about. He actually believes it's his life's work, he's called it, to clean up what he sees as the origin stables of the British media. There are several court cases, no less than 5, 3 of them against media groups, either about to start or having started. And what we've seen is, I think, a very, very bitter Harry. But on the other hand, don't forget the contract with Random House, because here's another danger. If the royal family for one second think that Sussexes are necessarily placated because they haven't received the apology they hoped for, it was a 4-book deal, we've been told, with Random House. Meghan could write her memoirs, Harry could have a book out of the 800 pages, we only had 400 in spare, and he could write about his childhood. So we've a lot to play for, so to speak, so far as the Sussexes in the international arena are concerned.
Coming back to Mike, what you're thinking when you're hearing all of this. I mean, so far we haven't had, I think, any extreme views, which you sometimes get in debates about Sussexes, of sort of everyone just wants them to shut the hell up. We're hearing pretty balanced remarks here about the press and the relationship with them.
Well, I think it's important to understand some key terms like leaks. That's what those cases are about. So let's be accurate about why Harry is so upset. And he wants the world to understand, quite frankly, how the tabloids work in the UK, with a lot of leaks, even from family members, releasing some of those leaks. And that was also in the book. The comments that recently came out about having a different view and saying we're done with it was really about attacks that dealt with race, children, and various crisis issues that were tied to the Sussexes. Not everything. So let's not throw the baby in with the bathwater and say that they're not going to speak at all and they're never going to come out of the house. Of course, that's not what we're talking about. And yes, there are different kinds of books that can be written. And they can also produce things for Netflix and not only be the stars of it in defending. But I would say this. I don't think Harry and Meghan are ever going to give up the opportunity and the responsibility to defend themselves and their children if they are personally attacked with lies. I don't think that is ever going to end.
And Mike, they're perfectly entitled to do that, as you said, and they are private individuals and they have a certain amount of celebrity brand. Of course, I want to ask you from your reputation specialism point of view, do you think it's been a successful rebrand for the two of them in the US and here in the UK?
To date, no. And the reason why is the root of their brand, especially Harry's, that trips into Meghan's and to the children, is at its core royal, not American, not a reality star, not a defender of various things that he's even gone through in life. If your brand at its core is royal and you take that away, your brand is damaged. What you need to do is leave open the opportunity of potentially, like some have said in the media most recently, that you might rejoin the royal family in fullness, that you might still move back to the UK, that you might still have a mea culpa that earns your way back into the royal family in a very different way. Quite frankly, the way that the king had hoped that it would be original